I request Mr. Amit Kumar, Mr. Satish, and Ms. Steffi Jose to collect their certificates of paper presentation and come to the MC desk. Let us begin this day with a scientific session on critical appraisal and retrieval of relevant literature search led by Dr. Chandrashekhar.R, Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmacology, AJ Institute of Medical Science and Research Center, Mangaluru. So, I would like to invite Mrs. Manjusha, Associate Professor, Department of Child Health Nursing, and Ms. Vinisha, final year BSc Nursing student, for chairing the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning to all. A crucial part of conducting quality and an authentic research is searching the literature. It aids in developing a research question and a study plan. If not done step by step, it can be time consuming, exhausting, and can cause disinterest or even the abandoning of the search in the middle. Since there is a vast amount of published material available, selecting the right publications that are pertinent to your question requires good research knowledge and skill. According to Burles A., the critical appraisal is the process of carefully and systematically examining research to judge its trustworthiness and its value and relevance in the particular context. Even if there are a lot of resources for peer-reviewed literature, there may be many dubious sources that contain incorrect studies. If flawed studies are used to guide clinical judgments, there may be no benefit or, at worst, significant harm. Therefore, by analyzing medical material critically, readers can come to wise judgments. Today, we are fortunate to have a well-known person who can help us to know how to critically evaluate any literature, choose the veracity of the study, and make plans for future research. Now, I request Ms. Vinisha, 4th year BSc Nursing student, to introduce him to the delegates.
Good morning to all. Introducing Dr. Chandrashekhar.R, an accomplished professional in the field of pharmacology and clinical research. Dr. Chandrashekhar.R currently serves as an assistant professor and researcher in the Department of Pharmacology at AJ Institute of Medical Sciences and Research Center in Mangalore, assistant clinical research coordinator in AJ Clinical Trial Unit, research associate in AJ Research Center, member of Scientific Committee in the Department of Pharmacology, AJ Institute of Medical Sciences, biological scientist as an Institutional Animal Ethics Committee in New Delhi, chairman and editor-in-chief International Journal of Comprehensive and Advanced Pharmacology in New Delhi, associate editor, scholars, academic and scientific society. Dr. Chandrashekhar.R's outstanding achievements include receiving the Best Outgoing Postgraduate MSc in Medical Pharmacology Award. With a remarkable academic and teaching background spanning over a decade, he has made a significant contributions to the field. I extend a warm welcome to you, sir.
Dear online delegates, please drop your questions to the chat box, which will be answered by sir at the end of the session. Over to you, sir.
morning to all. Usually, my presentation in other conferences and seminars used to be kept in the afternoon session. Usually, and I was wondering because in two places you will get nice sleep. One is when you're a student in the boring classes. Second, in conferences and seminars after the lunch session. Nice AC. So, hoping that I will throw a light on the subject and make it interesting. But nevertheless, this time I got my first presentation. So, I am happy for the organizing committee for selecting me for this lecture. So, not wasting much time, I want to start the topic. So, we got a topic called as critical appraisal and retrieval of relevant literature search. So, usually you have seen in other presentations and other conferences that I don't want to go in the same fashion like contents, introduction. So, we want to make it a little bit interesting. So, I want to take to a new journey so that you all have to actually involve inside. You have to be like a participant, right? So, are you ready for that? Let's start. So, even though the topic has been given to me like this, but we have to first start with the retrieval of relevant literature search. Suppose you went for an interview and you faced these questions. Now, you are the candidate, right? We'll pass to the journey. Now, interview starts. Candidate, excuse me, interview team, please come in. Again the team tells, please be seated. Candidate, thank you. Professor David, Professor Rebecca, the candidate is Mr. Raj, and Professor Gladder. These three are the interview team. Good morning, I am Raj. This is my biodata. Good morning, Raj. Can you tell me what are the parts of a research paper? Ma'am, in simple, the parts of research paper are, we can classify under chapters. Chapter 1, the problem and its background. Chapter 2, review of related literature. Chapter 3, method and procedures. Chapter 4, presentation, analysis and interpretation of data. Chapter 5, summary, conclusions and recommendations. And today's topic what we want? It is review of related literature. Now she is little strict, I feel. See her face. We may have to face sometimes like this. All will be not same like your fingers, isn't it? Can you explain review of literature? She is very strict. That's for today's topic. A review of literature is a journey through literature. Ma'am, the review of literature is a summary of all the reviews from various research literatures related to the current study carried out by researcher, and it helps to discover what is already known about the research problem and what more has to be done. Can you give one definition and just mention characteristics? Yes, sir. The definition is a literature review is an assessment of a body of research that addresses a research question. Its characteristics are, it should be comprehensive, up-to-date references should be there, should be systematic, reproducible, free from bias, well written, and it should be in the form of sum of its parts, searched and selected properly, and you have to quote a proper references. Tell me some factors affecting it and its purpose. Ma'am, the factors affecting are researcher's background. If he is having a very good experience, it's easy for him to start the review. If he's a beginner, he may take time. It also depends on the complexity of the research project. How complex is your research paper depends on that your project. and availability of resources in your institution, whether they have computer, internet facilities, the journal, all those libraries. Okay, it all depends on that. Then only you can get a good review of literature. And the purpose, it helps to identify what is already known about a research problem. It helps to build on previous knowledge. Many published research studies contain recommendations for future research, because sometimes what we do the study according to our protocol, but we want to do more. Then what we do, we don't have resources or funding. We can just give some recommendation. Any other further researchers can continue this study. It makes researcher how and know what research has already been done in a particular area, so as to avoid duplication. Because if somebody is doing some research somewhere and you are doing the same thing, it is just waste of time and resources. That's why we go for review of literature. It is necessary to narrow the problem to be studied. It should be very specific. It helps researcher to get acquainted with the relevant theory, strategies, tools, instruments for conducting the research, and helps to understand the different way of conducting the research study. And also helps to identify comparative data, so it helps in interpretation and discussion of a previous study as well. Well, can you mention its types? Yes, ma'am. We have following types: traditional or narrative review of literature. This includes a type critique and summarize literature to draw a conclusion about a topic. Systemic review of literature, that includes methods uses more well-defined approach, mainly used for making a complete list of all published and unpublished studies relating to a particular topic. Meta-analysis, which includes a large quantity of findings and conducts a statistical analysis to integrate those findings and as understanding. And meta-synthesis, which includes non-statistical method used to integrate and evaluate and also interpret the findings of multiple similar quantity studies to identify the common elements. This is a summary of the types of review of literature. Okay, what are the sources of literature review? Sir, it has basic sources, that is, one is primary source, where you are going to get the references from the research article or sometimes unpublished thesis or dissertation, personal diary, and etc. That's called as primary source. We have secondary source, which just like an example, we can see newspaper, books, chapters, television, radios, and etc. And tertiary source, which not much important, but still it may play a role in some research papers like dictionaries and encyclopedias. This is a summary of the resources of literature. Can you explain literature review in steps? The ma'am came, strict ma'am. Yes. Identify key terms. Write a preliminary working title for a project and select 2 to 3 keywords. You may have something idea in your mind and you have to just draw a draft title and see how it goes well and discuss with your experts or guides. Pose a short general question what you would like to answer in the study. Look in the catalog of terms. Visit online database, example ERIC, that is Education Resources Information Center. You can visit this site. Step 2, locate the literature, because you can use some academic libraries or you can use these online libraries like University of Michigan or California, etc. Mainly we use primary and secondary sources of literature. Last question, which style you prefer for referencing? Give an example. Yes, ma'am. Which style usually we refer? It is Vancouver style. So you have to write the number, last name, initial, et al., title, if at all it's a subtitle, journal's name, year, volume and issue, and pages. This is how you have to refer. Good, excellent, well done. Congratulations, you are selected. Thank you. Now, whenever you quote any references, please avoid plagiarism. Don't copy and paste, paraphrase, and see that it is not duplicated. Otherwise, your literature will be plagiarized by somebody else, and you may feel, bad about that. What is critical appraisal of a journal article? What is journal club? An educational meeting in which a group of individuals read, evaluate, and discuss current articles from the biomedical literature. And successful journal club include a well-constructed clinical question searching for evidences. There is a critical appraisal. Now, what we are going to do here? It is nothing but a systematic process used to identify the strength and weakness of a research article. Already it's published, but you are going to find out that to assess the usefulness and validity of research findings and why it is important. Despite the plethora of documents available to guide the process, no gold standard instruments for critical appraisal still exists. But we can have a try. If you address these 10 questions, your critical appraisal will be over. We will just see one by one with 2-3 points. First one, is the study's research question relevant to your topic? Assess that. Adds to what is already known about the subject. You get the reference. Does the study add anything new? You have to see that. New ideas and knowledge are developed on the basis of previous work. You can extend the study. Substantial new contribution to knowledge here are relative rarity. However, incremental advance can also be a good value. What type of research question is being asked? Most fundamental task of critical appraisal is to identify the specific research question that an article addresses, and you have to go for PICO format. What population you are addressing for your research? What intervention you are doing, whether treatment or prevention? Comparator, with whom you are comparing, control or any other standard, and outcomes. What is the outcome you have to see? Fourth one, what was the study design appropriate for the research question that you should see? Questions about the effectiveness of treatment. It may be meta-analysis or randomized clinical trial, or it may be control trials, or it may be cost studies, and etc. Did the study methods address the key potential source of bias? That's very important. So bias can be introduced. It's a false, can be introduced into any of the research, maybe because of you don't know how to select the participant, or data was not properly analyzed, not interpreted, statistical failure. Was the study performed in line with the original protocol? Sometimes you submit the protocol, while doing study, you may find some new things and you have to deviate the protocol. There are some reasons to deviate. So maybe failure to recruit planned number of participants, change to inclusion exclusion criteria, variation treatments or interventions, etc. So you may have to deviate the protocol. Again, you can apply for the same scientific committee, and you can change the title as well if you want. That is based on your organization scientific committee. The study test is stated hypothesis, because whenever we start with anything, we go for there is no difference between the group, and after applying statistics, we will tell, yeah, this is good, or it is effective, or P probability, and usually we go for 95% confidence interval. Check that all the data relevant to the status study objectives have been reported and no omission is done. Sometimes we do fabrication, falsification of the data, manipulating data. That should not be done. Were the statistical analysis performed correctly? You have to use a proper method, and patients who are lost in follow-up also should be mentioned in the results section. So that means you are giving a fair results. Do the data justify the conclusion? See what is your title and what is your aim and objective, whether that is coping with the results. Might dismiss large and potentially important differences between non-statistically significant, often because sample sizes were small. Sometimes it can happen. Conflict of interest, you got a grant, research grant, you did the study, it is very good. While publishing paper, you didn't mention. They will ask there, conflict of interest, we write nil. But we have to write who has sponsored the project, otherwise it becomes a misconduct, publication misconduct. So that is very important. So remember, whenever you give any title to any organization to do some work and all, even if you get negative results, don't try to make it positive. We always go in one section that, okay, my title is telling, my result should tell. That's what we believe. And we try to make the data to that it should tell the title results, but that is not the thing. Even if you tell the negative things, that is a good research paper, because you are telling the future researcher, don't do this, because already I done and failed. You are also going to be fail in this. So just address these 10 questions. Justification, relevance like sample, interventions, randomization, outcomes, follow-up, chance or power of your study, precision, results and conclusion. Now, whenever a group of people sit and discuss about research paper or article, it is called a journal club. Let's understand this with a sports decision. The famous sports, especially we can tell there is a god of sports in India, Which is that? Usually Indians like which sports? Cricket. Researcher is a player here. Publisher, reviewer. Out or not out? You tell me. Huh? Out? But still what we do? How's that? Reviewer. Publisher. Okay, it's published. Still we are not satisfied. We go for third umpire. What's the name of this person, umpire? Anybody know? No. Refer for third umpire. He is Simon Toffel. If it's a bad research paper, out. Good research paper, sorry. But we have a fourth umpire. Usually the TV panel discussion, that's called fourth umpire, and that is nothing but you people. You are going to have the paper and discuss about that. Sometimes many things will be missed by the reviewer, the publisher, the researcher, but the fourth eye will find out the mistakes. That is the critical appraisal. So just address these appropriate title, abstract, introduction, matrices and methods, statistics, interpretation of results, discussion, conclusion, reference. If all, I don't think everything will be 100% accurate, but you can go near accurate. After critical appraisal, if the research article does not maintain the standards, then publisher, reviewer, researcher, paper, rest in peace. Conclusion. Critical appraisal is a process through which the strength and weakness of a research study can be identified, and most important component of critical appraisal is careful assessment of the study design. If you like this presentation, give me a thumbs up. Now let's have a rapid fire. What are the names of all the interviewers? Anybody? Rebecca? David? Glad? Huh? Raj is a candidate. Glad, very good. Yes? Name of the candidate? Raj is Shah Rukh Khan name always in movies. You will remember, that's why I kept that name. MCQs. Chapter 2 in the parts of research paper is right. Review of large quantity of finding is a that side. A, B, C, D. C. This side. Right. Newspaper is an example for an education meeting in which a group of individuals read, evaluate and discuss journal club. If personal factors have been potential to influence all are passed. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, sir. Now the session is open for discussion.
Any questions? Already I put the question in the slides only, so no more questions, sir. Answer also I given.
Any questions? Thank you, sir, for your wonderful session. We truly appreciate for your years of expertise, depth of knowledge and comprehension on the subject, as well as for your ability to convey the topic in such a captivating and creative manner.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir. Can you suggest any reference manager which help for the literature review? Reference managers.
I gave this to some online libraries, you can see. Nice.
Like we have Zotero and Mendeley. So
Which one? Sorry?
we have a Zotero where we, scholars, it will help us. So is there any, which is feasible, especially for the PG students and
Yeah, that's what your library should have access to all these relevant literatures, online libraries. So from there, because some are paid one, some are is free access. So you have to consult your library and get what is the facilities available for getting all these references. It depends on the institution what they are going to provide, but sometimes it's not free access. And nowadays, some journals, I don't know whether how many of you know, some journals is categorized as clone journals. Have you heard this clone journals? Anybody? Clone journals, it has same ISSN number, same website with minute differences. It's very difficult to access whether it is true or false. Then we go and search in the library of Jeffrey Bell's list of predatory journals. There he has given the list, and he also sometimes has missed that, which is recently updated. So it's very difficult to get the proper references from the proper article. It is showing us Scopus, UGC care and all. Once it will take you to the same journal website. But actually when you go to some other relevant details, we are not getting the full access of a paper. So you should be, that's why what you should do is, you should discuss with your guides and other expertise what they are following. If already they have published many papers in some of the reputed journals, they will be having access to those journal editors. From there you can get the information. Otherwise very difficult to just go and see in the Google and try to get the references. Very difficult, because I have faced this. Out of my experience I am telling. Recently also I have seen so many predatory journals is in the market, because they are now become like a money making tool. And my friends and all lost about 25 to 30,000 by sending to those journals. And afterwards, when you can't locate also, trace them also. And when they write the letter, email and all, no response. And what they give even WhatsApp number as well. And afterwards blocked. So in India only, we have many journals running on international basis, and they are charging the money in terms of dollars. Once you transfer, even the paper will get published. It will come online, but it's not original paper. Once you do that, then your paper get waste. Some Chinese journal, they have done like that. Indians have done that.
Yeah. So good morning. As you discussed, we will be undertaking various research studies. So what happens, in sometimes we found that the result is not as a positive. But when we publish, we want to publish that articles, many times in index journal to get acceptance is very difficult. So what is some of the tips can you suggest us when you prepare the manuscript? Which are the areas we need to focus, or how can we strengthen that particular research study?
See, what you can do is, first thing is you go with one idea that this is my title, this is aim, objective, and I have done. And after the results, you come to know that something is not significant or somewhere you have lacked. So before publishing, only when you know this factor, then it's better to discuss with your statistician.
Okay.
Understood?
Yes, sir.
So they give a valuable idea how you can increase, because whether they will tell you have to add more sample, or you have to have more analysis to get the statistical result, or else, as I told, there are some journals which is journals of negative results are there. They publish negative results only. Let's say you want what publication? You want to give the fair results, give that. As I told, I am doing one study on antihypertensive drug, maybe some herbal extract with beta blocker. I compared. My drug is not showing antihypertensive effect, but my title is telling study offer. Now what I should do? I should tell in my results and conclusion that it is not having antihypertensive effect. I have done, I have proved. I am giving education to further researcher. Don't take this study for the same topic. Take for something else. Try for other references. So before sending the paper, only evaluate, discuss with the experts, statistician, why it has happened like this. Maybe somewhere your analysis may be wrong, or some table you would have missed, whatever may be there. If everything is perfect also, can we improve the study? Can we add more samples, more analysis? You have to discuss then only. Once you send also, before publication, they will ask you lots of queries.
Yes, sir.
You can always justify your study.
Yes.
That's how I can go.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions? Thank you once again, sir. And I thank all the audience for your attention and participation. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Mrs. Manjusha and Ms. Vinisha, for chairing the session.
Let me now request Mrs. Sophia, Lecturer, Department of Medical Surgical Nursing, to present Dr. Chandrasekhar, Mrs. Manjusha and Ms. Vinisha with the token of appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now, we shall be continuing with hands-on training session. Delegates who have chosen hands-on training on systematic reviews kindly move to station number 1, 4th floor. And the session will be led by Dr. Vinitha Ravindran, College of Nursing, Christian Medical College, Vellore, Chennai.
And the delegates who opted for application of mixed method research design kindly move to station number 2, 5th floor. This session will be taken up by Dr. Professor Devakirubai, Ultra College of Nursing, Madurai, Tamil Nadu. Online delegates will be provided with the link for upcoming session through your WhatsApp group. Kindly join without delay. And offline delegates kindly move to the respective halls. Volunteers are here to guide you.
If anyone finds any pen drive, red in color, kindly report to the MC desk.